I think we made it.
Yes, that's perfect.
Okay, like I said, I work for the Division of Veteran Services, and like Rachel said, we're representing the State Veterans Home here in Idaho. We have homes in 3 different locations, and we'll talk about that momentarily. But we're here taking care of America's heroes, specifically the veterans who served in the military for the state of Idaho. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about who we are and what we do. For the most part, our agency is a state agency. We're co-located on a veterans campus, a VA campus, but we're a state agency that exists solely to meet the needs of Idaho's veterans. And we do that in 4 very specific ways. We provide advocacy support, we provide education, information. We also take care of long-term care, and we also do interment at end of life. We do burial. The thing that's going to be interesting to you folks, of course, is going to be that long-term care piece. And just like Rachel mentioned, we do have 3 veterans homes. There's one in Boise, there's one in Pocatello, Idaho, and then there's one in Lewiston. We have a 4th home that's going to be coming online in Post Falls, Idaho. We're looking for nurses to support our veterans homes. As I talk about our homes, I do want to talk a little bit about some of our accolades. And this slide right here just represents some of our bling, for lack of a better word. Boise, our home overall has been recognized, and our agency has been recognized multiple times for excellence. In 2019 and 2020, we were recognized by Pinnacle for customer satisfaction and customer support excellence. Our home in Boise and our home in Lewiston were both recognized in 2019 by the U.S. News and World Report as one of the best homes located here in Idaho. Our Boise home also has the distinction of being recognized by the American Healthcare Association for quality initiatives. And we were one of 5 homes recognized in this state with that particular distinction. So we're very proud of that. In Pocatello and in Lewiston, our homes have been recognized by the American Healthcare Association and the National Center for Assisted Living with regard to quality initiatives. And the reason I put this slide up is because I want folks to realize, we set a high standard and provide a high level of care for Idaho's veterans. And anyone that hires on with us, we want to let them know that we set the bar pretty high here. And so we're looking for the best and the brightest to support our veterans. This slide here just talks about a little bit of our operation and our operations and our support to veterans. Boise is our largest home with 122 beds. And of those 122 beds, we do offer a residential domiciliary support to veterans who don't necessarily need skilled nursing care, but do need some other levels of support. We also have 17 special care unit beds for our veterans here. In Pocatello and in Lewiston, those are smaller satellite homes. And in those 2 homes, we have 66 beds. They have no residential domiciliary support and no secure care unit care. We run 3 shifts, 24 hours, 7 days a week. And those hours can be 8-hour shifts if you're working in Boise. If you're looking to work in Pocatello or Lewiston, you could work 8-hour shifts or 12-hour shifts. All 3 of our homes have 3 support wings that do skilled nursing and long-term care support. And then there at the very bottom, you see some information there just about our personnel and how we're generally staffed. The nurse to CNA ratio and the nurse to resident ratio, we can talk about those. Those are dependent on our schedules and on the staff that we have available at the time that you're working. What we can offer employees that are coming to work for the state. First of all, we offer competitive pay. We expect most of our registered nurses to start. They generally start at $66,000 a year, depending on experience. And our LPNs, they come in right around $41 a year, depending on experience. We also offer a 5% shift differential to anyone that wants to work with us for folks that are working evenings and night shift. And I will say the state offers a fantastic benefit package that's valued at about $31,000. And also for those who want to make sure that they're spending their time wisely, they're using their skills in the very best way, we offer an honorable cause, serving Americans veterans and taking care of Americans veterans. We're looking for heroes to help heroes here. They served us and now we're looking to serve them. So we do have an honorable cause that we can put before you. Our benefit package, this thing is pretty front loaded. I cannot say enough about the benefit package that's offered by the state. To begin, we offer low cost and affordable medical, vision, and dental care. And low cost means low cost premiums and very affordable deductibles. You start accruing vacation and sick leave with us the moment that you start. We offer 8 weeks of paid parental leave. Oh, I went too far. Let's go back one. Sorry. We also have our, I won't go over all of these, but we do have the state retirement system that is Percy. And Percy is one of the top rated retirement systems in the nation. It's well managed and very well funded. We offer you life insurance and disability insurance free of charge. There's no premiums on those if you decide you want to come to work for us. We offer wellness programs, employee assistance programs, and the employee assistance programs that are offered by the state generally take care of counseling, financial management, and legal support if you should need it. We offer tuition reimbursement, but most importantly, we offer you job stability. If you decide you want to come to work for the state veterans homes, it's important to know that we don't low census our employees, meaning if we drop below a certain level or a certain census, you maintain your 40 hours per week, you continue to get paid, we don't lay you off. And that's been really important for folks, especially during this COVID crisis that we have been in. We've been able to keep our employees on board, keep them working, and we've also added to our staff during this time frame. So if you would like to apply for work with us, I want to talk to you a little bit about our application process. You would have to apply on our state website. We do have our jobs posted on sites like Indeed and Monster, but they will all lead you back to this particular site. You would go to the Idaho Division of Human Resources, and there's a link on the screen for folks who needed to see that. And you would select current openings, and I have that highlighted on the screen down here at the bottom for you. Once you do that, you would do a filter and you would just look for our organization, the Division of Veterans Services, if you wanted to apply for one of our openings. That would pop up a screen that looks like this. You would be able to see a list of jobs that are available at our agency, and all you would need to do is click on that apply button. In order to apply for our positions, you would need to create an account. If you have any issues, concerns, or questions about the information that I provided for you today, feel free to contact me. I am so happy to talk. I am from the Carolinas, and that's one of the things that we do best. We enjoy talking. So if you have questions about starting or questions about working for the state veterans home in the state of Idaho, we are happy to talk to you. You can call me, my number's up on the screen, or you can call Rachel. Like I said, she's our DON, our Director of Nursing Services, or you can hit us up at recruiter@veterans.idaho.gov. We look forward to having you contact us, and we look forward to having you help us care for America's heroes. We're looking for you folks to come join our team. We're excited to be here. So if you have questions for us, we'll be here at the end. Kelsey, that's all I have. Rachel, did you have anything?
Not right now.
All right.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that. Really appreciate you sharing that information with students, and students that are on the call. Start thinking about those questions for the last 15 minutes of the information session to share to share with all of our employers. Excuse me. Up next, we're going to pass it off to the Mayo Clinic.
Thank you. I don't know if I'm ready to follow that. Iris, that was a really good presentation. So I'm going to say wish me luck. Well, wish us luck, because I'm going to rely on Eric a lot. So thanks again for having us. I'm going to try to put on a presentation as well. So I'm going to share my screen. If you guys want to let me know if you can see this.
Yep, we can see it. Looks great.
Okay. Thank you. No, great. I'm good with great. That's always my goal. So, I want to start with an introduction of Mayo and just make sure we're kind of on the same page on kind of who we are and where we're at. Mayo Clinic was founded and originated from Rochester, Minnesota. And that again is where I and Eric currently sit. We do have several other locations that I want to be able to point out. We have our health system site, and that's going to be in the Midwest predominantly, so Minnesota, Iowa, and Wisconsin. And then we have a really large presence in Scottsdale, Phoenix area, as well as Jacksonville, Florida. So we've had all of those sites since at least the late 90s, but Rochester's site actually was founded back in the late 1800s. We've been a proud organization for about 150 years. So pretty proud of our heritage and what we've accomplished. So I do want to stay focused. So I'm going to jump to some of our nursing specific opportunities. I'm going to speak predominantly about Rochester because we do hire the most new grads on our Rochester campus, although all of our campuses do consider new grads. And then I want to, again, kind of just stick to and highlight some of the most important facts and then see where the questions and answers maybe would lead to later. So we have both an ambulatory and an inpatient in the surgical services or perioperative division. So I'd like to highlight that in Rochester, specifically, we have over 60 different specialties. Of those, a couple buttons in the way, let me see if I can get to them. We have 10 ICUs and 7 progressive care units. So they're going to be listed here on the right side. And I'm actually going to have Eric talk a little bit about them, just mainly because he is an ICU RN and he could speak to a day in the life a little bit better. But I'll quickly again emphasize that all of these ICUs and PCUs will hire new grads. It is a pretty competitive process, but with all of the growth and opportunities that we have, new grads are strongly considered in all of these opportunities. So Eric, you want to chime in for a little bit?
Most definitely. Thanks, Jeff. So like Jeff had said, we have 10 different critical care units and 7 different progressive care units. I currently work on the cardiac surgery transplant ICU. All of the different specialty units work with various different teams from physical therapy, occupational therapy, respiratory therapy. We also have intensivists that are on our ICU units 24 hours a day. They work 14-hour shifts between 2 different providers. We also have a group of advanced practice providers that are nurse practitioners or physician's assistants that work as our liaisons between the consultants, which in other institutions, they would be called attendings. And those are just one of the aspects of the teams that we work with on a daily basis. And just to give you an insight, in our ICUs, nurse-patient ratios are 1-to-1 or 2-to-1, 2 patients to 1 nurse or 1 patient to 1 nurse, depending on the acuity of the patient. From my aspect, my greatest gain is the fact that all of our consultants and all of our clinical providers value the input of the nurse at the bedside, as they are the ones that are taking care of those patients on a 24-hour basis. I am a 0.9, so that means I work 3 12-hour shifts. I rotate between days and nights, and my weekend rotation is every 3rd weekend. And our weekends are Saturday, Sunday. That being said, how about we go to the orientation and residency slide. Our nurse residency program for all new grads is a built-in program for anybody with less than 2 years of nursing experience, or who is new to the ADN or BSN level. That nursing residency is built in. When you are hired into a position, you automatically are hired into the nurse residency program. It is not a separate application process for Rochester. For Florida and Arizona, they do have a separate process for that nurse residency program, which will be detailed when you search on the websites. It will direct you as to the application process for those new grads. Our nurse residency program is accredited by ANCC, as well as all 3 hospitals, Rochester, Florida, and Arizona, are magnet designated. And our Rochester site was just redesignated for the 6th consecutive time. So we're in the upper 1% of all magnet designated hospitals.
Thanks, Eric. That's a good summary too. I take a more of a business approach towards the nurse residency program. Again, just because, well, I'm not a practicing nurse, which is probably a good thing. You don't want me by the bedside. But one of the things that I think sets the Rochester's nurse residency apart is that, again, you're automatically enrolled. So if you're searching for a position here on the Rochester campus, you would simply apply to a posting such as the cardiac ICU that Eric supports, or maybe peds or oncology, whatever it may be. You look for that specific posting and then again, automatically enrolled. During the nurse residency program in Rochester, I really like how they take a little bit different approach. And one of the weeks, one of the classes is actually how to be successful financially as a nurse. I think that I always think of like Dave Ramsey. I don't know if you guys are familiar with him, but just kind of that financial guru, and has a good philosophy. And we actually spend one of our entire courses helping with financial planning, thinking about the future, and kind of some tax information as well. So we end up inviting bankers and other financial experts to come and present and speak during that. So that's like one of the 12 sessions as part of the nurse residency program. So I like how my colleagues here think outside of the box when it comes to that. So much of our orientation and training is so intense already, especially for our ICU and our PCU RNs. They do participate in what they call a Foundations of Critical Care Nursing course. So whether you're a new grad or an experienced RN, if you're hired into one of our higher acuity units, again, like one that Eric works on, you would automatically be enrolled in that course and be expected to pass. It's actually, Eric could probably describe it a little bit better, but I think of it as like a really advanced clinical where you're truly hands-on and expecting to prove not only to us, but also to yourself that you're capable of those really tough situations, especially when it's a one-on-one, because you'll be working with some of the most challenging and unique patients in the world. It's actually one of our, go ahead.
Yeah, no, most definitely. The orientation process for our ICUs and PCUs starts out, like Jeff had said, with Foundations of Critical Care Nursing. It is a two-part class. The first part of the class is based towards general care and a little bit of your progressive care. That also includes monitor reading, lab interpretation, ABGs, and electrolytes. That also includes collaborative nursing with other departments and your basic pharmacy backgrounds. Depending on your specialty, you may have a special pharmacy background class. For my unit, we have one specifically for all the different transplant meds that you would be passing. So that way you're prepared to be able to educate your patient as well as yourself for that med administration. The second part of Foundations of Critical Care Nursing is specific to the ICU, and we deal with different, what I like to call toys on the unit, different modalities of care, from the ventilator management to other ancillary supportive devices like dialysis machines or other vascular assistive devices, and the different resources that you would need to know, as well as then managing those shock patients or hemodynamically unstable patients, managing your multiple drips, taking your patients on road trips to MRI or CT, and all the different resources that are available for you. And both of those courses, you do have a comprehensive exam that you would have to pass to demonstrate your competency, both from a didactic standpoint as well as from a clinical standpoint. We do have simulation labs on 2 different parts of our campus in Rochester. One is full immersion with video technology, and the other is does not have the video recording technology, but still has the full high-def simulation mannequins that we work with on during our different training sessions.
2020 and the pandemic has forced, everybody to think outside the box. So one of the things that I want to touch on, and Eric maybe will just spend a minute or two as well, because he's a little bit, I think, closer to it. But right now we have a staff of almost 200 RNs who are working remotely, kind of working our phone triage line, supporting COVID patients and in many other types of situations. But we have a specific COVID team that has totally stepped in and grown, and I think we've done a really good job implementing. Of course, there's been all sorts of trials and trying to get everything figured out. But Eric, you want to touch on that other topic real quick? I still want to touch on Relo, but the new program that's going Midwest-wide?
The enterprise-wide for the Midwest, it was just announced that we will be encouraging and have the opportunity to float, in a sense, between our different sites. So the health systems is the community system that Mayo Clinic operates that surrounds Rochester. And this opportunity will allow staff to be able to broaden their not only patient population knowledge, but also broaden their skills and bring that culture that we have in Rochester more in-depthly to our other site locations in Wisconsin, Iowa, and in the more rural communities of Southwest Iowa or Southwest Minnesota.
I like how you kind of like started and gave that a good analogy. So we have a float team within our hospital here in Rochester, which I think almost every organization will have something along those lines. But again, we're just trying to be more agile and working with essentially a float team, like a job 2 or a PRN supplemental type status where you can float and support all sorts of different populations. So again, just making sure that we have qualified staff in hard hit areas. So definitely want to get more involved and want to share some Q&A. So want to just wrap up. We started off stating that we are in Arizona, the Midwest, and then Florida. I want to highlight that if you are from the Boise area and accepted a position with us, all of our areas have a pretty competitive salary. But when it comes to relocation, we would get a package in the dollar amount of $9,000 to $10,000, depending on what site you would accept or move to. So just in short, if you move from Boise to Rochester, Minnesota, Mayo Clinic would help you with $10,000 in assistance. Part of it's going to be for a pre-employment trip where you can come and complete a physical and do some house hunting, get familiar with the area. And then $8,000 for that would be allocated towards helping you move from A to B. So you do get to choose how that money is spent, whether you get a U-Haul and do it all yourself or throw it in the back of the minivan, or if you have a lot going on or you're an experienced mover and you know it's worth it, maybe you would hire a moving company. So again, the $8,000 for that would be money you could spend how you would wish. So
I know somebody who bought a TV.
Hopefully not an $8,000 one, but
No.
Nonetheless, the money is yours, and we don't actually ask for receipts or follow-up. We just know that it's expensive to get situated. So thanks again for you guys' time, and really looking forward to some more Q&A, just again so we can talk to more what's important and relevant to you guys. So thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that helpful information. We've got Casey on the line from HCA. Casey, the floor is yours if you would like to share your screen.
I would. Hey, thank you so much. So I was actually slated to go on a little bit earlier. I talked to Kelsey. I was rounding one of our hospitals. Things went off the rails. I'm alive. I'm here. I'm so happy. Anyways, thank you for having me. I will go ahead and pop up my screen and get going. So like Kelsey said, I'm Casey Matheson. I'm from HCA Healthcare. If you're in the Boise area, you know West Valley Medical Center, that's us, but I'm gonna tell you a little bit more about us as well. So I just have a little slide deck I'm gonna run through really quick. As you have questions, feel free to let me know. I'll kind of watch the chat and see if we can go back and forth. I can do a Q&A. So I'm excited to tell you about our new grad RN opportunities. So first of all, I'm just gonna tell you about HCA Healthcare as a company. And then I'll kind of get a little bit into West Valley, how that kind of all fits in and all that good information. So HCA Healthcare is actually the largest healthcare company in the United States. We have about 280,000 employees, roughly that, probably a little bit more at this point. Huge chunk of that are registered nurses, a little bit, almost 100,000, we're right up there, and 46,000 active and affiliated physicians. So you can kind of see in that second column, all the different patient care encounters that we take care of. We take care of approximately 5% of all inpatient hospital services in the country. So I'm going to show you a map in a minute of all of our hospitals, but yes, we are very large in our scope and size of what we do. Just really quickly, I'll touch on giving back. We give back billions and millions of dollars to the communities that we serve, to the capitals. So our hospitals are always great for patients. They're wonderful places to work in. And we also make sure that we're doing our due diligence with charitable cash contributions. And in 2018, we were able to give $45 million in that across the enterprise. We're also an industry leader in a lot of exciting things too. So whether it be cancer care or the level of service we're providing in language and dialects, our environmental sustainability programs, those are just the three things to kind of touch on, but we have such a large scope and scale across the United States. It's really exciting. One thing that I want to talk about is our mission statement. So it's in orange below. I'll read it really quick, but it reads, above all else, we're committed to the care and improvement of human life. So I'm actually based out of Salt Lake City. I'm going to show you our map in just a second, kind of show you the hospitals that I recruit for. But I actually came from a competitor in Salt Lake City where I'd worked out for 17 years doing nurse recruiting and HR. I love this company. It was kind of like the premier, place in Utah to kind of work. We were the largest in Utah. And the company was so good at like what it did to provide patient care. I actually never thought I would leave, but I got recruited from HCA and I said, I'll probably never leave this employer, but I read this mission statement. And in combination with that, with our nurse residency program, I've been with HCA 3.5 years now, and I consider myself incredibly lucky. So one thing that I've noticed about our mission statement is I read that initially when I was considering employment with HCA, and I'm like, okay, care and improvement of human life, that's patients, right? That's what we do. That's why we're in business. That's what hospitals do. But kind of what I found as an employee over the last 3.5 years, it's not just patients. It's me as an employee. It's our communities that we serve, even if they're not our patients. And the things that HCA has done, I think for me as an employee, and then also the incredible things that I've seen happen in our communities. I mean, obviously I'm severely biased and I've drank the Kool-Aid for sure, but again, it is an incredible place and I'm so fortunate to be a part of it. I think for the first time in my career, when I read a mission statement and what it resonates to me as an employee, probably one of the first times, and that's a really exciting thing. So I think one thing I can definitely promise you coming to HCA is yes, we will be committed to the care of you and improvement of you as an employee, the exact same things we would do with our patients as well. I'll kind of show you this map. These are all the places that we have hospitals in around the country. Our headquarters are actually in Nashville, Tennessee. That's where we were founded in 1968. And I've lived in Utah my entire life, but it's been kind of interesting to kind of have like that Southern hospitality and the way that we really run business at HCA. I think we do things incredibly well, incredibly smart. And again, just based on all these locations, we're able to really capitalize on our size and scope to do a lot of incredible things around the country. But there's always really that sense of hospitality, that geniality. It's really an incredible place as far as culture. And again, for the 11 hospitals I recruit for, I'll show you in a second, I've felt that at every single facility. So this is us. Yeah, we're 186 hospitals around the country. We actually have a cluster of hospitals in London as well. So if you ever wanted an international experience, there you go. We're comprised of, like I said, mainly hospitals, but we do have freestanding EDs, surgery centers, urgent care centers, diagnostic and imaging centers, walk-in clinics. We have a large grouping of physician clinics as well. So again, we are the largest healthcare employer in the United States. So again, one kind of great thing about that is, so I'm in Salt Lake City, right? But if I was like dying to have I'm really wanting to move to Miami, I could do that and keep my health insurance, keep my tenure, keep everything going strong. So that's kind of one thing, is I kind of feel like you have a lot of ability, whether it's for like a personal choice or whether you have a partner that needs to relocate. There's a lot of ability to kind of stay in the same company and kind of reap the rewards of tenure, but be able to have different experiences around the country too. So I'm going to talk about the hospitals that I recruit for, but if you see anywhere on this map that you're interested in kind of considering or pursuing, I'm going to put up my contact information at the end. Let me know, and I'd love to get you in touch with that recruiter, and they can tell you a little bit more about their facilities. The program I'm going to talk to you about, our nurse residency program, we do that all throughout the country. So what I'm going to talk about today, you would actually experience at any of these places around the country. So these are the hospitals that I recruit for. It's called our Mountain Division. So you can see West Valley Medical Center in Caldwell right up there. That's one. Eastern Idaho and Idaho Falls is another hospital that I recruit for. Eastern Idaho is actually our bigger hospital in Idaho Falls. So we're a referral center there. We have a little over 250 beds. We have a level 1 ICU. We have the region's only burn center. There's kind of a lot going on at Eastern Idaho. Caldwell is definitely smaller. We're a community hospital there if you've had the chance to do any clinical or go in there. Our turnover is pretty low at Caldwell. People love it there. They stay there. So as far as like a huge plethora of new grad opportunities, that may not potentially exist. But if you're familiar with Utah, we started a small community hospital in Logan and then move all the way down to Payson. So that's about like the third top of Utah where we do recruiting. Where I do recruiting. All these hospitals in between, they kind of range from smaller community hospitals. Our hospital in Cache Valley is like a whopping like 40 beds. But then as you kind of move down, like our hospital in Salt Lake City is a level 2 trauma center. It's 250 beds. We do a lot of really, really cool things there. And then hospitals just kind of fitting like different sizes and shapes like all throughout the way. And if you want to have a huge adventure and you're super outdoorsy, connect with me about moving to Anchorage. I mean, it's kind of funny. Whenever I do travel to Boise, I'm like, Anchorage is actually incredibly similar. If you've ever been there, I feel like the vibe, like I feel like you're really outdoorsy if you kind of live like in Boise, Idaho. Salt Lake City about the same, but then if you're like Alaska, you were like outdoor crazy. It's like a whole other dimension, but it is really, really cool. It's an incredible place to be. So those are all the hospitals that I recruit for. So if there's anything on this list of 11 they're excited about, that'll be me that you'll work with. Again, if there's anything else around the United States, you're like, I'm dying to like live in Austin, or I'd love to kind of like explore Washington, DC, connect with me, and I can kind of let you know about the recruiters there. So let me tell you a little bit about our nurse residency program. So we use an acronym called STARN. It's called Specialty Training Apprenticeship for Registered Nurses. And I said this was kind of the second reason I decided to leave my employer in Salt Lake City, where I'd been out for so long, is this program like completely spoke to me. So when I was at my old company, probably similar to a lot of other healthcare companies, I don't know, 5-6 years ago, we were kind of seeing a huge uptick in first year turnover for RNs. And we're like, what is going on? What's happening? And I remember when I first got into nurse recruiting, like around 2000, I remember recruiting for an orthopedic floor, and like length of stay for a patient was like 14 days for like a total hip. Nurse to patient ratios were like so small. And obviously the universe has definitely changed since then. Our patient ratios, I feel like, are probably competitive with anyone you're going to hear from today. But it's a lot different. I think the acuity of patient, I think that's what I've heard when I round with my directors. The last couple of years, like acuity of patients is just like skyrocketed. Families are difficult. It's just a really different world. At my old company, we're kind of finding we weren't doing a really good enough job from taking someone from student nurse to novice nurse. So that's why we were seeing this like incredibly high turnover with first year nursing. I remember I had people that would come into my office to be like, I did all this work and I became a nurse, but yeah, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. And I don't even care if I keep my license. Like, it was heartbreaking. So anyway, I found out about the STARN program. So this program actually began in Florida. I don't know if you remember, but we have a ton of hospitals in Florida. They were kind of experiencing the same thing. And they said, we need to do better. We need to do something better. And this is where this program was born. So let me tell you a little bit about it. It's a 10 to 12 week program, depending on the track that you go through. We typically hire in med-surg, our progressive care unit, which is like our step-down ICU, our ICU, and our ED. In the spring, we offer more niche programs like labor and delivery, perioperative, behavioral health, those types of things. But these are kind of like the main ones that we kind of focus on. So the program is a combination of didactic and preceptorship. And this is kind of where our residency program, I felt like really kind of sold me. So the first half of the program, anywhere from 5 to 6 weeks, you'll be like in a didactic. So that's a classroom setting, full time, Monday through Friday from 8 to 5. And you're like, wait, I already did school. I don't want to do this. But what we'll do during that time is you'll do a week of high fidelity simulation. You'll get ACLS, PAL, CPI. If you do the ED, you'll do TNCC. We'll teach you our EMR. You'll really have the chance to kind of learn all about us, where you're not trying to take care of patients too, and get all of that learning. You'll go through with a cohort group. The instructors that teach this program, they do it for all of HCA. So they know that material inside and out. They can anticipate questions really well, because that's all they do is go to our different sites and teach this didactic portion. Following that, you'll do a preceptorship on the floor that you're hired to, and you'll have one single mentor. And this is another thing that I think is a game changer. In my last company, it's like, okay, whatever charge nurse doesn't have the biggest patient load that day, that's who you're going to precept with. It could be a different person all over the place. We don't know, but it's a single preceptor that's been trained, that's going to be able to give you consistent feedback constantly. So you'll work with them, shadow their 3 12-hour week schedule. And at the end of that 10 to 12 weeks, you should be ready to be out on your own. For the Mountain Division, those 11 hospitals that I showed you, we offer STAR-N kind of coinciding with traditional graduation periods, so January, June, and September. So that's kind of what you're going to be looking at. I know I just have a couple minutes left, so let me, I'll kind of talk a little bit about our benefits really quick, and then I'm going to show you a quick video, and I think I should be done. So benefits eligibility after 31 days of employment, medical, dental, and vision. We offer a really full plan that way. We offer a really, really rich 401k. When I talked about tenure, that's one great thing with us. Our 401k is based on tenure as far as vesting and matching, but you can go up to 9% on your 401k, which that's like my dream to achieve one day. We do offer a stock purchase plan as well, PTO. If you have any outstanding student loans and you need loan assistance, we do offer that, as well as tuition reimbursement. I know you're all involved in like a BSN program, but if you were considering master's degree or anything like that, we have a lot of cool programs that we can help you out with. So really quick, I'm going to show a quick video. I love this video because it's our chief nursing executive of our Mountain Division. She's incredible. She's the youngest chief nursing executive within HCA. And I think she's just awesome. And I think as far as women leadership, she's just very cool. So anyways, I'm going to flip over to this really quick and show you this video. And I hope you can all see it. Can everyone, I hope, see it? Okay, go ahead and start it up.
The STAR-N program is for new nurses. We want them to get a solid foundation, get their feet on the ground, and have a positive beginning to their nursing practice. The goal of the STAR-N program is to ensure success by building confidence, improving communication skills, and partnering our new nurses with leaders in the organization who can help to make sure that they are best prepared to care for our patients when they leave the program. Students in the STAR-N program benefit from additional education, simulation training, and working side by side with experienced preceptors. Some of the feedback that I've received about the STAR-N program are that it's definitely what gave them confidence they needed as they started out on a busy hospital setting unit.
As someone who's gone through the program and now feel more knowledgeable and confident that I can provide quality health care to my patients because of the hands-on training that we had during the program.
According to nurses that have gone through the STAR-N program, they are more confident and well prepared as they launch their careers as new nurses.
During the program, I always felt like I could lean on my instructors and even my fellow students to answer any questions that I had.
Having a dedicated preceptor in the STAR-N program has allowed the new grad an opportunity to have somebody safe that they can go to ask questions and be more confident in their skills. The simulation labs that we have available in the STAR-RN program have been great for the new grads to be able to have hands-on opportunities to fine-tune their skills. The top 3 things that are important to the new nurse in their work environment are support, belonging, and caring for patients. This program allows the opportunity for all 3. The STAR-RN program helps us to onboard new nurses who communicate with confidence and are ready to take care of our patients. I love working for HCA Mountain Division, and I am so proud of the investment that we make in our caregivers. STAR-RN is just one more way that we invest in you so that you can invest in our patients.
I'm looking forward to working at HCA, and I'm excited to see where my career as a nurse takes me. I would absolutely recommend the STAR-RN program for any new grad nurses. It's a great stepping stone between nursing school and working in the field.
Okay, so I'll go ahead. I am done. This is my contact information, but I will go ahead and send it to Haley and Kelsey. If you have any questions about HCA Healthcare, you saw anything you were excited about, you want to talk more about the program, message me. I'm also on LinkedIn, so if you find me on LinkedIn, Casey Matheson, I think I might be the only one. Find me, connect with me, and we can chat that way. So thank you, Kelsey.
Thank you so much for that. Okay, everyone. We have the last 15 minutes for questions. And so what you can do is you can either unmute yourself or type in questions in the chat. Liz, Haley, Zach, and I are going to be watching the chat, and you can ask questions to any of or all of the guests joining us today. So I don't see any questions popping up yet. Any students want to unmute themselves?
I'll ask a question. Hi, I am Bree, and I just wanted to ask, as far as your guys's residency programs are for the employers, what policies or practices do you guys implement or enforce just to kind of help our assist nurses in using self-care and just being self-aware and things like that, just to, I don't know, help with care and themselves and patients?
Iris, do you want to start us off there? Jeff, Eric?
I can step in on that.
Sure.
Our residency program definitely deals with self-care. Some of our different units also have a committee that works with their fellow coworkers to reduce burnout. But there's also a lot of different benefits that we offer through the residency program, as well as just standard employee benefits that allow the resources to be available for different types of stressful situations, or if just personal life happens, in order to keep you a part of our family.
And then I'll speak to HCA. So we actually offer a lot of different things. After you complete our STAR-RN program, you are in residency for a year. Once a month, you'll attend a professional development class, but a lot of those do have to do with self-care. So you'll have the chance to take advantage of that. I talked about our benefits a little bit, but even if you decide not to elect any of our medical benefits, you actually still have the ability to utilize our employee assistance program, whether you want to do that online, whether you want to speak to someone in person. And our leadership is committed to constantly doing rounding as well. So I would feel very safe and comfortable letting you know that a higher level administration will be there for you to speak to you if you do have any questions, concerns, your frontline director, and hopefully we can kind of assess and meet needs that you may have to prevent burnout. That's our ultimate goal, is to keep nurses happy. That's, again, why, you know, we're in business, and it's important for us to support you and make sure that you're feeling good. So.
Brianna, I would like to also piggyback off of what Casey just said. Here at the State Veterans Homes, we don't have a formal residency program, but we do have employees here that do, you know, they face their residents passing on. And there is some stress, and we want to make sure that our employees are not facing burnout as well. We do have a very robust employee assistance program through the state. They offer free counseling sessions with top-notch counselors here in the Treasure Valley, Meridian, Eagle, and surrounding areas, and they pay for it. It's free. So we want to make sure that our employees are cared for so they can provide the best care. And we stand behind that. The state stands behind that by offering robust employee assistance programming.
I had a question or a couple questions for the Mayo Clinic. So what are the average wages for your nurses? I know you started to go off on that, but.
Yeah, so it's going to vary per site. What we have a really comprehensive compensation approach where we do an annual review, and it's really based off of the market. It varies again, like our Florida residency or our Florida nurses start around the $30 per hour, but they have a really strong shift differential because that's what's more common in that market, to where a night weekend, you'll make an additional $10.50 per hour. In Arizona, their market's a little bit more flat rate and more consistent starting. I think they're closer to 37 or 38 for their hospital roles. And then here in Rochester, a BSN RN in the hospital right now would be earning $36.49 per hour, plus a shift differential that goes from $1.90 to $4.50 more per hour, depending on which shift if you qualify for. Is that helpful?
Yeah, that's very helpful. And then I was wondering, like, how long does your program last? Like, if you get into the program, how many years do you have to stay with you? And then also, I know you were talking about that there were different classes, such as like an ICU class that you had to pass. Are there options for remediation or retaking the class in order to pass the test, or?
So the answer to that is yes, for sure. It's limited though, and that's really because if you're unsuccessful in the FCCN, the Foundations of Critical Care Nursing, we want you to be in an area where you can be successful, which usually means we would help you find a position where you'd be successful. So let's just say the cardiac ICU wasn't working out. Well, we have cardiac progressive care units or many other general care type of units, and we would definitely find a place. Very rarely, and I'm sure it happens, but very rarely are people unsuccessful because you guys have already passed your NCLEX to get here, and that exam is already so daunting. And then you get great staff like Eric, who are there going to help you to really be successful through that FCCN program. So, I don't want to call it failure. Being unsuccessful in that advanced ICU training is rare, and that's really because there's so many resources to help you be successful. And then your other question was about length of service, or how long we expect you to stay with us. We are an at-will employer, which I'm pretty sure all these other organizations would be as well, which means you're not under any legal obligation to stay employed with us. We do have expectations when it comes to transferring. So if you started on a general care unit, which is most common for new grads, then after 1 year of employment, we very much are open to you adventuring to a new specialty, or even a same specialty with a higher acuity, such as cardiac PCU, promoting to an ICU. The pay is still the same. All of our hospital RNs are on the same pay scale, but the patients and acuity that you'd be working with would grow, of course, to that higher level. So essentially, every year you could try a new specialty. I always like to speak from example, or personally, my wife is an RN with the clinic. She started off on a radiology unit, did that for 3 years, enjoyed it, but was ready for something different. Went to our cardiac progressive care unit, so one that would kind of work with Eric and his patients, maybe after they came off of that ICU type status. And now we have 2 young kids. So she went from a 0.9, again, like Eric, and she works at 0.6 FTE. So that would be 24 hours in a work week, which allows for that great work-life balance. And she works now in our post-anesthesia care unit, so more surgical services or perioperative. So that's another huge benefit of Mayo with the 60 different specialties. They're very supportive of going from one to the next to find a new challenge, to find a new passion, and then maybe even to change that work-life balance.
Thank you.
Could you all speak about any application deadlines that you guys have for new grads? Like if a student's graduating in May, when should they apply to each of you?
I'll be real quick. 3 months prior to graduation. That's our general rule of thumb for almost all of our areas. So if it's a May graduation, anytime in February is ideal time to start applying. Thanks.
And ours is really similar for our June programs. Most likely will open up in March. So
for the state veterans homes, we post our jobs as needed on our websites. So we recommend you get out there and look as soon as 3 months prior to graduation, see what's available from our agency, and give us a call, and we can kind of give you a heads up on what could be available later.
We had a great question last night that I'd like to ask you all right now, just because we don't have any other questions in the chat. What are the top 3 characteristics that you all look for your new nurse grads?
I could start out with this one. I think that, of course, there's probably a lot of characteristics we're looking for. All of my directors, and I think all the other recruiters can probably say the same thing, is we can really teach anybody to do anything. Once you've passed NCLEX, you're pretty much good to go. We are really good. And I'm sure these other hospitals are awesome at teaching skills. So we can do that, but we're definitely looking for people. I think first and foremost that obviously are compassionate and want to take care of our patients and treat our patients like they would their family. I think that's what we're really looking for. Nursing is hard. I'm not going to lie. You're going to experience that. So really someone that can work well as a team, assume good intent, and really kind of care about their team members and really know that you are on a team and that's how you're going to be successful. And again, I think someone that's flexible. I think if 2020 taught us anything, it's change, right? It's constantly needing to pivot. That's never going to change in healthcare, even if, like, knock on wood, we never have to experience something as crazy as COVID was again. But healthcare is a constant change. And so I think if you could just really determine that your career will be made of a lot of pivots and a lot of changes, and you're okay with that, and you can kind of lean into that, I think you can be really successful. So.
I'll hit on Mayo's top 3 kind of characteristics. Our main motto is the needs of the patient come first. So definitely somebody that's coming to the table with a true calling and caring attitude when it comes to your role. Definitely in today's role of COVID, you do need to be flexible and willing to step up to the need when asked. I would also say that somebody who is self-driven from the aspect of, we're not going to spoon feed everything to you, but at the same time, you have to have an eagerness and willingness to learn something new.
Iris, did you, or Rachel, I saw you.
So Iris actually, she gets out on this one. So I actually do all of the interviews. Myself or my nursing leadership team does all of the interviews for the nursing team. And some of the things that we look at, especially for a new grad, is a willingness to learn. You have the knowledge base, but being able to perfect, and I don't even want to say perfect, but to adapt to the area in which you're working, and taking that knowledge from people before you. I absolutely love new grads because you don't have all the bad habits, and so you don't get in trouble as much, and you teach all the newer stuff to those of us that have been around for a while. So look, new grads are really fun. One of the other things that I specifically look for is heart, compassion. Are you looking to get a paycheck, or are you looking to fill a position? The staff here at the Veterans Home have been here for a very long time. I've been here for 12 years. My MDS coordinator has been here for 18 years. I just had a nurse manager retire who had been here for 18 years. I have a restorative nurse who has been here for over 30 years. I have a CNA, guys, that has been here for over 30 years. So there's a lot of longevity here, and it's because we absolutely love what we do. So a lot of heart, a lot of compassion, and then the ability to adapt and be flexible, because at any given time, especially right now, I mean, we were writing policies and procedures, and before we were even able to get them out, the CDC had changed things, and we were like, whoa, pump the brakes back up, you know. So the ability to be flexible and adapt to change is a huge thing that we look for.
Wonderful. And we had one last question, if it's okay. I know we're right at time here. In the chat, we had, what are the top 3 things that you look for on a resume? And I'd actually invite Jeff to start this just because you put this in the chat. Would you mind starting this off and sharing with the group what you wrote in the chat?
Yeah, so if we're just trying to highlight 3 things that are important to have on a resume, it's going to be what's going to separate you and what's going to highlight, you know, your level of skills and preparation. So degree completion, so BSN for you students here. We like to know how many hours you spent on each unit. You know, I talked about our ICUs considering new grads. I'll be honest, if you haven't had a clinical experience on a cardiac ICU, I think our acuity, our expectation is too high from the get-go, and 1 year of general care experience, then you'd be very qualified for that ICU experience. But clinicals, anything of 80 plus hours is probably what's gonna bump you up there to that tier of qualified. Again, it's always based off of our pool of applicants. So you have to apply if you're interested and kind of go from there. And then lastly, anything else that's gonna build your skill set most specific to the role. So Student Nursing Association involvement, I mean, that's leadership. And then again, just kind of building out the nursing world there. Anything that's CNA, personal care assistant, personal care tech, any sort of experience like that at a hospital or a long-term care setting is definitely something that we want to know. One of the nursing placement coordinators I work with emphasizes babysitting. I mean, if you've been a babysitter, especially if you are BLS certified through that or CPR certified, you did a higher level of training to obtain that type of position. Even that, it's going to be a resume builder. So if you don't put it on your resume, we don't know about it. So that when I state that, people usually ask, can I do a 2-page or a 3-page resume? I say yes, as long as the stuff that you put on there is valid and valuable. So thank you.
Awesome. Iris or Rachel, do you want to go next?
I would be happy to. I would like to say, you know, when you apply for a state position with the state veterans homes, we do have minimum qualifications identified on our applications, and we want to make sure that you meet those applications, one of which is just providing your license. We need to see your license and that it's valid in the state of Idaho or in one of our compact states. And we also want to make sure that you understand care planning and that kind of thing, that you have some experience working in a team and you work well with others. Rachel, I'll let you take care of the details on that one if you have anything you want to add. But generally speaking, when you apply for us, we are looking to see that the minimum qualifications for the job are met. And those are clearly identified on the application.
Yeah, so outside of what the minimum qualifications are, there's a few things that I specifically look at. You know, one of the things I mentioned earlier was longevity. There's a lot of that here. You know, do you have the heart? Do you want to stay? How many jobs have you had in the last 5 years? I mean, these guys that do these amazing programs, it is very expensive to train nurses to do work. If you have bounced around for the last 10 years, working 6 months to a year at every single job, I'm probably going to pick somebody else over you. So job experience, like how long you're staying at your jobs. Now, there's also the, you know, when you get out of school and you're trying to, where do you fit in? We look at that as well. So if you're working multiple different nursing jobs, looking for that special place of where you want to be. So that's the second thing. Why did you leave your last job? Did you leave your last job because you wanted to try something new? Did you leave your last job because you had a personnel issue? Because I'm going to ask you what that is. So if you, anything like that, be prepared to answer those questions, because most of us are going to ask them. And then if you do have any specialties, that's one thing that we look at. What is your ability to grow within our organization? It's one of the things that I look at. I'm homegrown. I say that the first time I stepped in this facility, I was a CNA. I was working for an agency. I started working here as an LPN. I am now the director of nursing. So, you know, how much can we grow you, and how much can we, you know, help you to grow in your own specialty?
Thank you, Rachel.
Well, we want to give a huge thank you to our employers for joining us today. That was really helpful. Thank you guys so much for your time. And thank you to the students that came. Zach Bass put the website where you can find more information about each of the employers and their contact information in the chat. So if you want to check that out, you just put it in there again. So it's at the very bottom. But yeah, huge thank you to everybody. And I hope everyone has a wonderful night. Kelsey, do you have anything to add?
Nope, that's it. Thank you so much, everyone.
Have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kelsey.
Thanks for having us,
everyone.
guys.
Thank you, Haley.
Jeff, I just want to say your background is awesome. Is that like your actual